Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast. We talk about everything and anything franchising. And today I'm actually somewhere pretty special, pretty different, as you can see by the background behind me. And I'm at Poolwerx HQ and I'm welcoming Andrew Walker as the Chief of Franchise Development. Is that correct?
That's correct, Glenn.
How many times did we rehearse that? I couldn't remember what it was. I'm a bit rusty, I know. I've been on holiday, so now we're back, mate. Thank you so much for having us here. So where are we? Where are we at right now?
So we're in our national support office.
Yep.
And this new area that we've just recently built is our innovation hub. So this has been designed for staff to come and collaborate and think about new initiatives and ideas for the business to progress.
Yep.
And directly behind us, you can see some swimming pools in the ground, and they're a part of our national
and I asked
training
before,
facility.
Do they actually get swum in during Christmas parties? And no, you said
no, they don't.
No.
We purposefully make errors in the pools and then have our candidates who are going through the training program fix the problems.
Okay, so you make them pretty murky and
yes.
like my pool at home.
That's correct.
And we just had something in common, didn't we?
We did.
I said to you that I've just started using Poolwerx.
That's right.
And I told you my suburb and you said,
yes.
What did you say?
I said, that's my son's business.
Exactly. So there you go. So it's going well.
He operates franchises basically from Southport down to Tweed Heads and out to Mudgeeraba.
So the whole family's into it then?
Yeah, we definitely are.
Excellent. And we're going to talk about here today the Poolwerx franchise business model. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of people see the vans driving around all over the place there. So we're going to go through a few things, and I've done a little bit of content over many, many years. Poolwerx has been around. How long Poolwerx been around for?
32.
So that's why I've seen it a lot. So one thing that we wanted to go on first is to describe, so I think a lot of people wouldn't realise because you've got storefronts, you've got mobile vans, so what you refer to as the hub and spoke aspect to your model. Can you talk us through how that works in your business and what it looks like?
Yeah, sure, Glenn. So we refer to it as a hub and spoke model. Essentially what that is a retail store as the hub, mm-hmm. and the spokes are the mobile service vans that operate out of that retail store. And typically our model, it starts off as a van, and then you go to 2 vans, and then you open the retail store, and then you'll go to 3 vans and to 4 vans and a second retail store and 5 vans, 6 vans and a third retail store, and it continues to grow from a single operator to a multi-unit operator. And there's no limit to where you can take that. We've currently got a franchise partner with 6 retail stores and 18 service vans on the road. I
suppose it's just geographical, isn't it? That's the limit to it. So do they all beside each other, those suburbs? Or
typically they are, yes. Yeah. So when we create a marketing area, we call them a marketing area or a territory is another name that a lot of people use. Mm-hmm. It's based on pool numbers and suburbs. So we typically look to map an area that'll have a minimum of 2,500 pools.
Yes.
And then that area, we know that number of pools could sustain a retail store and 3 mobile service vans running out of it with a reasonable market share.
So that's off your data that you've, because you've been going for 32 years,
correct.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So where do you get pool numbers from? Is that council data or what? Or are you someone in the office doing Google Earth or something counting?
We're running airplanes all over the country.
Drones.
Yeah. No, we use Spectrum spatial data, mm-hmm. And they track pools across the country from airplanes, essentially. That's how it's done. It's aerial photography.
I thought it'd be like council approvals or something like that. Yeah.
No, years ago it was, but these days, no, we don't get the information from councils. So there's a number of companies that do the mapping, and they do aerial photography of where the pools are. So when we create the marketing area, we know exactly where the pools are in that marketing area and the addresses of those particular pools.
Wow. So how long has Poolwerx always been a hub and spoke model, or has it evolved over the time?
We typically started 32 years ago as a mobile van operation.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was originally.
Yeah, it was. And then we've progressed over those 32 years into the model that we have today, which we've found to be the most effective and most efficient model to grow your business. And it allows franchise partners to continue to grow and expand their business. So we're no longer looking for single van operators. We're looking for business people who operate the business.
That's interesting. I think that's a big change to the business, I imagine, over time, because many franchise brands are looking for multi-site type of thing there. So are you finding particular characteristics? So someone gets a single site, or do you identify them pretty early on in the process as someone who wants to be, own a pool empire, or pool cleaning empire?
Yeah, look, it's actually the way the whole franchising industry is gradually going in terms of that multi-unit operation, and we're no different to other brands in that regard. So essentially, most people would come in buying an existing business and might have one store and 3-4 vans operating, and then they will then grow and expand that in the time that they're in the business. Typically, sometimes we've had people who started 17 years ago as a single man in a van, and today they've got 3 stores and 9-10 vans operating.
Excellent. So with vans and stores and that, as it's evolved, how does the revenue work for a franchise partner through that? So I imagine it's quite different there because there's different investment amounts in just having a van then moving to a store. How does that progression happen from a revenue perspective, and what sort of streams do you see?
Yeah, so we get our revenue from primarily 3 and 3 is the way I would call it. There's the retail revenue, the mobile revenue, and commercial revenue. So our business is about 18% commercial. 18% of our total revenue across the country would be commercial revenue. So commercial to us is business to business.
Yep.
So we've been focusing since 2006 on that commercial part of the business, which is your real estates with property management, body corporates and stratas, hospitality, institutional business, which is your retirement villages, your nursing homes, your gyms, your fitness centres, your jails, schools, hospitals, universities, that sort of thing. And then there's the pool industry and then the insurance industry.
So I think so the commercial was 18%, and then what was the rest of them? So residential?
The rest of it's residential, yeah.
Okay, that's the rest of the gap, is it?
Yes.
So, well, I suppose many people would have imagined just all residential.
Yeah.
You don't really think of all that stuff, because do you find people are now changing? So would previously people have had people on staff to do those sorts of things, and now they're finding outsourcing it is a more efficient way to do it?
Yeah, we've. I think it's just been a market that we've been focusing on for a number of years now, and certain aspects of the commercial sector are legislated through. So institutional work is legislated, body corporate work is legislated in various states. They have to get their pool serviced by an external contractor on a certain number of times a week.
Okay,
and
so is that for safety and all sorts of stuff there?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we fill those gaps for them.
Yeah.
So typically a strata building might have a maintenance person that looks after the pool on a day-to-day basis, but we come in on a once or twice a week basis and we just check the checker to make sure that it's still operating properly.
So are you involved in that at a head office level as far as what's the term I'm looking for, getting those contracts and that sort of stuff? Or how does that work? So how do franchisees secure those sorts of commercial arrangements?
Yeah, it's twofold really. The franchise partners do it on the ground locally.
Face-to-face door knocking.
Face-to-face door knocking, doing the old typical, I would like your business.
Yep.
And then the second step is we do have a team here at our national support office that is focused wholly and solely on the commercial development. And they chase tenders and contracts and things like that. And then when we win them, we hand that work over to the franchise partners.
So that's just by marketing area, is it?
Yep,
Yeah.
by marketing area. So, for example, we have a contract in New South Wales with jails, juvenile jails, and that's there's 13 sites across 8 different franchise partners. So once we win the contract, we then roll that out to each of those 8 franchise partners, and they pick up the pools in their local area.
Yeah, that'd be a big win, I'd imagine, for them.
Yeah, it's a great third stream, and the other good thing about the commercial business is it's 12 months of the year.
Yes.
So you've got continual revenue coming in from that part of the business. And then the other part of our revenue streams is we sell chemicals, equipment, and we have our labor.
Yep.
So, if your retail store, for example, if there's a downturn in retail sales, your mobile is usually still pumping. Or if there's a downturn in your mobile, your retail is going well, and then you've got your labor and your chemical and equipment that all fluctuates throughout the year, but it gives you the three revenue streams to be able to add to your business.
So what's that retail component? What's involved in the retail component? Is that people just walking off the street buying parts for their pools and the chemicals and everything?
Yeah, so typically about 70% of the pool market are DIY customers, so do it yourself.
I couldn't think of anything worse. I've created problems before, so I don't know why people want to do that.
Yeah, and the other 30% are what we call DIFMs, do it for me.
Yep.
So they're people who want you to come on a regular basis and maintain your pool. The DIY market typically take their water sample into a retail store. They'll get it tested, buy the chemicals, take the chemicals home and put them in the pool themselves. And maintain the pool themselves, clean the pool themselves, and that sort of thing. Yeah. Okay,
so I mean, my next point was about how hard is it to do this, to be a franchise partner, for example, because I'd be terrible. I'm terrible. I feel like I'm going to break my filter system every time I touch it. So what sort of experience do you like? Tell us about training and that sort of stuff in the business, because obviously this is a training facility here, isn't it? This is the training facility.
This is a world-class training facility. We have this duplicated in our head office in Dallas in the United States as well.
Because you're international now.
Yeah, because we're international now. So we have the same facility in both areas. And our training to kick off for the first period is a 4-week pool school, we call it. So in that 4-week pool school, all of our new franchise partners will come in and do some comprehensive training, not just technical training, but across every competency of operating their business. And you don't need to have any technical experience in maintaining a pool, but typically many of our people have owned a pool in their own backyard. So they're a bit familiar with what a pump and a filter looks like, but you don't really need any experience in maintaining that because that's all covered through that training period. And then we have a team here in our National Support Office that also conduct annual training programs throughout the year. So we have a technical excellence program. We have a retail excellence program. So that's for staff within our franchise partners' businesses. So they can send their technicians up to the technical excellence program, and that gives them some upskilling and some training on the technical aspects of their role.
I suppose you'd have to do that if you're multi-operator or multi-site focused. You really have to help them train staff, don't you?
That's right. Yeah. You really do. We also have development season workshops. So in the winter period, which we call the development season, we actually go out and operate training programs in field in the States, and then the franchise partners and their staff can come along and attend those to keep them upskilled.
So what do you refer to as development season? What's that mean?
So that's winter. So typically between May and August, it goes quieter in our business. So although our franchise partners don't really notice it quieter because it's also the period of time when they send their staff on holidays. It's also the period of time that they're doing a lot of installations and sand changes and those types of work, along with the commercial work that they would do 12 months of the year. And many of our customers today don't tend to drop off during winter, the regular clients like they used to. The DIY clients will drop off, but the regular clients tend to continue going through 12 months of the year now. But it does get a bit quieter in that period of time.
I can imagine.
So that's the time we spend training the franchise partners and their staff.
It's a good idea. I mean, it just becomes second nature, is it? And things get cooler, less time in the pool. Probably people just think less need for chemicals and all that sort of stuff, isn't it? So that settles it down just a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah, but you certainly don't want your pool going green like mine did. So how is your approach? So you're trying to grow people. I mean, I remember we did some work recently for you, and you're talking about entrepreneurial people, looking for entrepreneurial people. So I know you guys don't view this as a job or anything like that, is what you talk about quite often. I know when we've met at franchise expos, it's the common line you're always using there. So how do you see it, and how do you talk to people about it, and what type of people are approaching you about being Poolwerx owners? I'm sure there's people out there thinking about it, but is it for them?
Yeah. So we look for business people now. We view our recruitment process as being one looking for business operators, not man in a van, people looking to buy themselves a job. So it's a business career. And we look for people who have the skill set to develop a business, and that could be from a business background. It depends on their background. We're getting a lot more C-level people and general management type people coming into our business.
You said like white collar type of people. So like accountants, lawyery types and that type of thing, bankers.
IT people. We've had a few of those of late. Finance and IT are the two areas that we often typically seem to get people in that level of management, and they're looking for a career change, but they're looking for an income that is scalable, a business that's scalable to provide them with a significant income, and one that can surpass what they ever used to be on in their C-level role.
So was that much of a shift in the business? 'Cause I imagine I can picture this business starting 32 years ago as probably John O'Brien with a man in a van, right? So going out about what sort of shift has it taken for that to move? Did it take a while to move from man in a van, that common phrase we use in franchising, to a scalable, larger business? And what was that evolution like?
Yeah, so we've, back in the early day, I joined the brand initially in 2006.
Yeah, I thought you have been around a while.
I have been around a while, yeah. And the average franchise revenue back then was around $250,000 per franchise partner.
Yep.
The average revenue today is $1.6 million.
Wow.
So that's the total revenue of the business divided by the number of franchise partners we have. And actually, we're seeing a decrease in our franchise numbers. So most franchise brands typically want to grow their franchise numbers. We're seeing a decline because our existing franchise partners are buying neighboring franchise partners to give them more territory to be able to continue to grow and expand in that way.
Interesting. Yeah. So do you see a maximum number, like a rule of thumb maximum number, or is it the sky's the limit, really, do you think, from
pretty much the sky's
manageable
the limit.
size?
Yeah.
I'm talking from a particular franchise owner buying up territories. What did you say that there was, what's the most territories at the moment someone's got, or marketing regions?
Our current largest franchise partner has think it's about 11 territories, 6 retail stores and 18 mobile vans. And he's grown from 1 store and 3 vans. He bought that about 6-7 years ago. And he's grown it to that level over that period of time. And he's done that through opening additional stores or acquiring competitors that might be operating in the area, because that's another part of our market in terms of growing franchise partners is taking on independent pool stores and bringing them across into our brand.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing we should talk about. Probably another podcast one day, I reckon, because I reckon that's a whole other story as well, isn't it? Acquiring and taking them on board, a real key part to growth.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So expansion and marketing areas and that sort of stuff. How does it work? If you're a franchise partner, how does it work? We talked about how many pools was it? 2,500 pools?
Around the 2,500. But most of our marketing areas today have a lot more than that, because that was the mapping we did back when we first started. But a lot of them will have 4,000. Some of them got 5,000, 6,000
so
pools.
There's more and more pools.
Yeah.
So each territory is getting more and more pools in it.
That's correct.
So are you adjusting it going forward? Like in remaining territories, are you adjusting those numbers at all going forward, considering it?
If we have franchise partner marketing areas that have, say, 6,000 pools, we can look at splitting that into 2 territories, and then the franchise partner gets 2 territories. It doesn't necessarily change their ability to grow, but what it does is a mindset. It allows them to put a store in both areas, but then they can sell off a territory and buy another one somewhere else. And a lot of our franchise partners will do that over the term of their life in the brand.
Yep.
And most franchise partners tend to come into the brand for a minimum of 10 years typically. And in that 10-year period, they've got a strategy of how they want to grow or where they want to get to at the end.
Yep.
And it's a matter of they move the marketing areas around accordingly to make that happen.
So what does a store look like? So what is the normal size of a store? Are there specific attributes you look for? Because if you're having those geographic regions, what do those stores look like?
That's a really good question, Glenn, because typically today it's around 120 square metres. 50 square metres is in the back with office and storage, and 70 square metres is out the front in the retail store. And in 2025, we're looking to develop some new models of retail stores at both ends of that. So a big box retail store and a small satellite store concept. Wow. So, a 50 square metre store and a 200 square metre store.
Yeah, and, so what's changing to put into a 200 square metre store? Are you putting in more pool equipment or other areas of the market? Yeah,
it's just more a different concept of marketing in terms of stacking the stock up and having really good pricing that attracts those DIY customers.
So it was pure retailing, essentially,
that's
isn't
right.
it? Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I think we've got a lot to talk about as we go forward in this. Thanks so much for joining us today, mate.
That's
much
right,
appreciated.
No problem. Thanks
we
very
know
much,
a hell of a
Glenn.
lot more about the Poolwerx model now.
Great.
Thanks,
Thanks
mate.
very much.
And I hope you enjoyed that one. Something a bit different again. We always try and go somewhere a little different here at Poolwerx today. And if you liked this type of stuff, please share, like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. And we'll catch you in the next one very soon.